Okay, practice owners, if you are posting on Instagram, but you just feel like you're not getting any bites no matter what you post, when you post, the type of content that you post, and you just like, if you're feeling like Instagram is a waste of time, this video is for you because in this video, I want to share with you some really specific content strategies for Instagram for your cash based practice to help you go from feeling like, what the heck even is the point of posting on Instagram to fielding inquiries on a regular daily basis from interested clients. If you're new here, my name is Morgan. I am a physical therapist and a cash based practice owner myself. And since 2020, I have been helping other healthcare providers just like you start and grow your own cash based practices so that you can find clinical time and financial freedom and build a career and a life that you love. If you are in a place where you're like, I really want to open my practice, but I don't know how. I don't know where to start. I don't know how to do marketing. I don't know how to do sales. And I definitely don't know how to find clients. We would love to help you. We built a program just for you to solve exactly all of those problems. And it's called DPT to CEO. You can be another healthcare provider besides a DPT, but we primarily work with physical therapists who are starting their own cash based practices and help teach them the business skills that we didn't learn in school so that you can work for yourself, make your own income, and treat patients the way that you want to treat them. So if that's of interest to you, you can check out the links down in the description below. You can apply for DPT to CEO today and join our community and join our program and be coached by other practice owners just like you. So let's get into today's content. So the good news about Instagram is that it's not about like creating dancing reels, and it's not necessarily about posting every single day, like just for volume. There is an art and a finesse to it, and it comes with a lot of kind of pre-planning and being thoughtful and intentional about what you're doing with the tool. I think the biggest thing to remember here is that Instagram is a tool, and while it is social media and you're meant to engage and interact with other people there, it also can be an excellent business tool because of the social aspect. If you look at it as a tool where you can create connections and have genuine conversations with people that you might be able to help, you have endless possibilities of what you can do with that platform. And it can be such a great piece to incorporate into your marketing strategy, especially if you're somebody who really likes to go out into the community and do a lot of in person events, in person networking. Instagram can be a great add on because it's a great place to be able to reconnect with your in person contacts later down the road. And you can also make contact and connections with people who you might not be able to meet with in person, whether that's due to schedule or physical location. It just offers you a whole new world to be able to connect with other people, whether that's potential clients or other providers. So we hear this a lot from brand new practice owners and even practice owners who have been at it for a year or two. They are wanting to get into the digital marketing space. Maybe they have an Instagram, but they've never really used it before. They post maybe once or twice a month. Every post takes them an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours to plan and actually create and execute and publish. And they are just feeling really frustrated because, they say things like, no matter how much I post on Instagram, once or twice a month for a few months, it just seems like I'm not getting any clients from Instagram at all. And they also might be saying things like, I've posted a lot of like educational content, but it doesn't really seem to be like leading to anything. So I don't even really know what kind of content to post. Or you might be saying, like, I have a really hard time coming up with content ideas. And so it just makes it too overwhelming to even post anything at all. So if that's you, keep watching because I have a lot of ideas to share with you. So, right off the top, here's a strategy that I would recommend if you're just getting started with Instagram. And you can even implement this if you are really familiar with Instagram, but you just don't really like have a plan necessarily. The first thing is going to be you need to pick a posting cadence and stick with it. If you're in a place where you're posting once or twice a month, we need to get you up to at least posting once a week. Is posting once a week going to be super effective? Not necessarily at the beginning, but we need to develop the discipline and the habit and the routine of actually creating content and do that consistently in order to get to a place where you're posting somewhere between 3 to 5 times a week for it to really be as effective as possible. So, just like when it comes to exercise, like we don't start off running a marathon if you've never run before. And the same thing goes with content creation. You have to pick something that you know you're going to be able to stick to for a long period of time and train yourself and build up the endurance and the muscle that you need in order to work on this habit. And then over time, we can start to gradually progress and add a little bit more challenge, progressive overload, if you will. So that would be the very first thing. So pick a cadence that's reasonable for you. And we also want to consider the different tools that Instagram has available. So I think the first thing that needs to be taken into account is your actual feed posts, like your regular Instagram posts that show up on your profile. You should conquer that first. And then we can get into Instagram stories. And then we can get into things like a broadcast channel. I wouldn't try to do all three of those things immediately at once if this is like your first entry point into Instagram, but typically it is a little bit easier to at least get into posting, and then stories are huge. They're a really big deal and really important, but because of the frequency with which you need to post your stories, I like to recommend getting into the feed posts first. So like I mentioned before, you can build up the muscle and get used to creating content on a pretty regular basis. And so to answer the question, do you need to post every single day? No, but you do need to post most of the time. And this can be done in real time on a daily basis. You can also work with different tools to schedule out your content, and you can do things such as batch creation, which is where you spend, 2, 3, 4 hours maybe creating a bunch of content for the upcoming week or the month, and you pre-schedule everything out so that you don't actually have to be on the app and posting all the time. It just takes some planning, and you have to find a system that is going to work for you. So that's going to be the first thing. Pick your cadence, pick your medium, which aspect of Instagram you're going to work with to start off with, and then we can get into the actual content. So this is the next part. Something that I see that is missing a lot for practice owners when they're getting into Instagram or just content creation in general is we tend to stay in very educational content like all the time. Like 90 to 100% of our content is educational. And while that's awesome, I love content because I think it's a great way to offer education and information to people who otherwise might not have access to it. I think that's a huge piece that a lot of us we have access to create educational and scientifically accurate content to share with people, which is really cool. But as a business owner, we cannot solely just create educational content if our end goal is to bring in clients and fill up our caseload. So that's what we could call like awareness content, where it educates your audience, it entertains the audience, it makes you relatable, right? And then the other side of things would be more offer based content. And this is where, like, across the board, I continuously see practice owners really missing is we just don't make offers enough. And like, I'm 100% like super guilty of that. I have had a really hard time making offers on a consistent basis. And so when I will or like would end up like creating an offer, making an offer to my audience, sometimes it would just kind of like come out of the blue. And if you're not making offers on a consistent enough basis, you're not going to be giving yourself enough opportunities to have conversations with people who might need your help. So the thing about like awareness, educational content is that it's great for the audience. It's great for trust building. It's great for just like goodwill and building credibility for you to show that you know what you're talking about. But you have to remember the other side, which is making an offer. And this is letting people know that you are available for hire. People can pay you to work with you. You provide services services. They can book consultation calls with you, they can book evaluations, they can buy your programs, et cetera, et cetera. You have to have this offer piece in there as well so that the prospect knows what action is next. What steps should they take next in order to move forward? So we need a mix of both. And in coaching that I've received recently, my coach talked about she was creating between these two, right? Awareness content, offer content. It might look like a little bit more of like 70% awareness, 30% offer. And she might be moving more towards a 50-50 split. I would say, you need to have some percentage of offer content on the board. I think 25% is minimum, but maybe moving more towards like 60-40 or something could be a good mix as well. Just to make sure that like you're putting it out there. And I think like a common fear and worry that comes up for people when they post on social media and they're making offers, right, and talking about their services is that we worry that we're going to be like bothering our audience or annoying them or anything like that. And the truth is that with social media, your content lives for only like 24 to 48 hours, maybe 72 if you're lucky. And also a very small percentage, I believe it's less than 10% of your actual like followers list is going to see the content. And so that's why it's so important to produce enough volume and talk offers frequently enough so that like you are hopefully like casting a wide enough net so that more people are seeing that you are available to provide services. So awareness versus offer content. And so with that, like what specifically can we be posting? So this is going to be, I would say mainly on the awareness side, but you can morph all of these things into also being offers. And that's also something important to, I guess, like recognize here is that your content can be both awareness and offer at the same time. You just want to make sure that you're mixing things up. So we're going to talk about 4 different types of converting content. So content that you might make for people who are actively like problem aware, they might be searching for solutions, even if like right now they're searching for things that they can do on their own. You can still speak to them and put it out there that you're available to help them if they do decide that they want somebody else, an expert, to help them. But these 4 pieces are a good idea to have in your rotation so that you're speaking to, I guess, all different aspects of the sales process and the client journey and working with you. So number 1, I guess I would say, is like personal/human content. So this can be great in developing awareness. This is more top of funnel content where it's painting you as a regular person, a relatable person. You can talk about your story behind the scenes, maybe why you started your practice, a little bit about like you as a person, any hobbies that you have. And this really helps to build trust because people get to know you like human to human rather than just an expert talking at people with facts. So, it helps when you buy from a human instead of a robot. The second piece would be value posts, right? So, like we talked about before, educational content, things that might provide like a quick win, tips that you can implement like today or this week, education that might solve a problem or things that your audience might not know, myths that people might believe. So this is truly just like educational content. And like I said, you can sneak an offer in there. It doesn't have to just be education, but it would be a good experiment to kind of bounce back and forth between solely educational content and like education plus like a light soft offer to see what works best for your audience. And then number 3 is a call out. So speaking directly to your ideal clients, either like pain points or their goals. And I could probably do a whole nother video on this. So comment below if this is something that you might be interested in. And don't forget to subscribe because we put out videos roughly every 2 weeks with more information on how to market and sell your services as a cash-based practice owner and grow your business. But the third type of content would be calling out either the pain points or the goals. And this is something that is also worth an experiment because you might see if you focus just on your client's pain points, you are most likely going to attract audience members who are very pain focused, very struggle focused, and you might find that you need to overcome many more hesitations and objections in the sales process for people who are kind of stuck on sort of like the negative ish end of the spectrum. Versus if you focus more in your content on their goals, the aspirational identity of your ideal client, and like who they want to be once they solve their problem, you might find that you attract more people who are action oriented, who are willing to invest right now, and who are just like ready to take that next step with you. It's something that we have been experimenting with a little bit and definitely have seen good results from. So, that's not to say that you can't speak to your ideal client's pain points, but following it up with more of like the aspirational and talking about the goals and the results that people could get if they work with you. I think that's really important to focus in on there instead of just focusing on pain. And then the fourth type of converting content is, of course, case studies, transformations, and stories. Nothing sells as well as a story. If you haven't read Building a Story Brand, definitely recommend it. But talking about client wins, you can talk about your own wins, like your own transformations that you have helped yourself achieve. If you're worried about not having enough people to talk about, you can talk about your own story. You can talk about clients you've worked with privately. You can talk about clients you've worked with in the clinic. They don't have to be solely through your practice. It's still a worthwhile story. And just talking about like the before and after and the transformation, laying that out for your audience is going to really help people see the shift that you can create for them and helping them get towards their goals. And then just some quick tips here. We focus mostly on feed posts because we want to get those up and going. But I think this real like secret is in Instagram stories. So I think you need to be at least like an advanced beginner user of Instagram to start to incorporate these because they are most effective when you're posting them on a nearly daily basis. You'll start to get a lot more engagement, you'll get more followers when you are consistently interacting with the Instagram platform. So I just bring this up because if it feels like doing like all or nothing is like too overwhelming, you can take baby steps, but Instagram stories are going to be your friend. We want to be posting them, like I said, nearly every day. I would say maybe at least like 4 to 5 days a week posting on your stories. And they're going to get the best engagement and help you turn followers into clients when you figure out a way to create engagement with your followers. So we're talking, not just posting a picture of like the coffee that you had this morning, but adding maybe onto that picture a poll sticker that says like, do you drink coffee every day? Yes or no? And you might post pictures of yourself in the gym or working with a client and saying like, have you ever had issues with your shoulder? And then having your followers engage with that poll. That's a great option. Or using the sticker, you can like tap in stickers, the question boxes stickers. So use the stickers on the stories to ask questions and create opportunities for people to very easily engage, because then you'll be able to see who's engaging and start a conversation with them based on that warm engagement, rather than feeling like you have to go and do a ton of cold outreach. And another quick tip too is feel free to repurpose. If you had a feed post that got a ton of engagement, repurpose it into a story and vice versa. Don't feel like you have to only create like one topic like per medium, I guess, on Instagram. If it does really well, turn it into something else. That's what we've seen on our stories is when our stories do really well, we turn them into feed posts and those also do really well. So feel free to repurpose things too. So I hope that this was helpful. I'd love to hear what your biggest takeaway was down in the comments. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at DPT to CEO. We'd love to talk, whether you work with us or not. We love connecting with other cash-based practice owners, and we love seeing everybody putting themselves out there so that we can continue to educate our patients and offer high quality healthcare services. I'd love to hear from you what resonated here and what you are going to take into your own marketing strategy using Instagram. But like I mentioned before, if you're like, Morgan, this was great, this was cool, but I'm so overwhelmed and I don't know where to start in order to develop a good marketing strategy for my practice, we'd love to help you out. We can have you either book a consultation with us or apply for our coaching program. Both of the links will be down below. Either way, we'd love to have you set up a time to talk with us, and we will help point you in the right direction so that you can grow a successful cash based practice. So, with that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.